Welcome to a journey through the fascinating history of the South Slavic world and its neighboring regions. From the rise of medieval Serbian and Bulgarian empires to the cultural crossroads of Bosnia and the unique autonomy of the Romanian principalities, this is a story of dynamic change, cultural blending, and resilience in the face of empires and invasions. Join us as we explore the rich and complex history of the Balkans and beyond. 1. The rise of Serbia from kingdom to empire. In the early medieval period, as the South Slavic peoples of the Balkans carved out distinct cultural and political identities, the Serbs emerged as one of the region's most significant forces. Their journey from fragmented tribal communities to a powerful empire was marked by cultural adaptation, territorial ambition, and resilience in the face of external pressures. By the 9th century, the Serbs had embraced Christianity, aligning themselves with the Byzantine Orthodox tradition. This religious and cultural connection to Byzantium played a crucial role in shaping Serbian identity and governance. Under Byzantine influence, the Serbs began to organize their territories more formally, culminating in the establishment of their first kingdom in the 11th century. However, during this period, Serbia often fell under the sway of the Byzantine Empire, its autonomy constrained by the greater power to the south. A dramatic shift occurred in 1180, when Serbia began a period of territorial expansion and growing independence, under the leadership of the Nemanji dynasty. This expansion laid the groundwork for Serbia's golden age, which reached its zenith in the 14th century under Stefan Duan. Known as one of Serbia's greatest rulers, Duan declared himself Emperor of the Serbs and Greeks in 1346, signaling his ambition to rival Byzantium as the dominant power in the Balkans. Under Duan's reign, 355, the Serbian Empire reached its largest extent, encompassing Albania, Macedonia, and parts of Greece. This expansion was not merely a conquest of territory, but also a consolidation of cultural and political identity. Duan introduced significant legal reforms through the Duan's Code, a comprehensive legal framework that strengthened centralized governance and emphasized the primacy of the Serbian Orthodox Church. By elevating the Serbian Church to a patriarchate, Duan reinforced its role as a cornerstone of Serbian culture and a counterbalance to Byzantine ecclesiastical authority. Despite these achievements, Serbia's ascendancy was short-lived. The death of Stefan Duan in 1355 marked the beginning of a period of fragmentation and decline. Internal divisions among the nobility and a lack of strong central leadership left the empire vulnerable to external threats, particularly the rising Ottoman Empire. A pivotal moment came in 1389 at the Battle of Kosovo, where Serbian forces, led by Prince Lazar, confronted the Ottomans under Sultan Murad I. Although the battle ended inconclusively with heavy losses on both sides, it symbolized a turning point in Balkan history. The Ottoman Turks emerged as the dominant power, while Serbia's weakened state gradually fell under Ottoman suzerainty. Battle of Kosovo, though a military defeat, became a cornerstone of Serbian cultural memory and identity. It was memorialized in epic poetry and folk traditions, representing both the resilience and tragedy of the Serbian people. Battle also marked a broader transformation in the Balkans, as the Ottoman Empire began to consolidate its hold over the region, reshaping its political and cultural landscape for centuries to come. The rise and fall of the Serbian Empire illustrate the dynamic and often turbulent history of the Balkans. While Serbia's political power waned under Ottoman domination, its cultural and religious legacy endured, continuing to shape the region's identity long after its golden age had passed. 2. Croatia and Slovenia, the Catholic West in the Balkans. Amid the rich tapestry of the medieval Balkans, Croatia and Slovenia followed a unique trajectory that aligned them with the cultural and religious traditions of the Catholic West. In contrast to their Orthodox neighbors to the east, the Croats and Slovens embraced Roman Catholicism under the influence of the Frankish Empire, a shift that profoundly shaped their political and cultural identities. By the 9th century, the expanding Frankish realm had extended its reach into the Western Balkans, bringing the Croats and Slovens under its sphere of influence. This was a transformative period, as the regions adopted Christianity in its Western Roman Catholic form, distinguishing them from the Orthodox traditions spreading among the South Slavs further east. The adoption of Catholicism also integrated Croatia and Slovenia into the broader cultural and political fabric of Western Europe. Croatia achieved a significant milestone in the 10th century when it established its own kingdom under King Tomislav, who is traditionally considered the first Croatian king. This period of independence saw the development of a distinct Croatian identity centered around its Catholic faith and its connections to Western Christendom. However, the kingdom faced numerous challenges, including internal fragmentation and external pressures from neighboring powers such as Hungary and Byzantium. By the 12th century, Croatia entered a personal union with Hungary, a relationship that brought stability, but also subsumed its sovereignty into a larger political entity. Despite this, the Croatian nobility retained a degree of autonomy, and the region continued to develop its distinct cultural and administrative structures. By the 14th century, Croatia had also become part of the Holy Roman Empire, further embedding it within the Western European political and cultural sphere. Slovenia, to the north of Croatia, shared a similar trajectory. The region's early history was shaped by its integration into the Frankish Empire, which introduced Roman Catholicism and centralized feudal structures. By the High Middle Ages, Slovenia had become part of the Holy Roman Empire, aligning it politically and culturally with Central Europe. This connection fostered economic and cultural ties with powerful Western European states, setting Slovenia apart from the more Byzantine-influenced territories to its south and east. The alignment of Croatia and Slovenia with the Catholic West created a clear cultural and political divide within the Balkans. While Orthodox Christianity and Byzantine traditions dominated Serbia and Bulgaria, the Western Balkans became a frontier of Latin Christendom. This distinction was further reinforced by the administrative structures, legal traditions, and cultural exchanges facilitated by their integration into the Holy Roman Empire and the Kingdom of Hungary. The Catholic identity of Croatia and Slovenia not only defined their place within the medieval Balkans, but also had lasting implications. Their orientation toward the West positioned them as cultural and political intermediaries between Central Europe and the Balkan Peninsula, a role they continued to play in later centuries. This legacy of Western alignment set Croatia and Slovenia apart, shaping their unique historical paths within the diverse and dynamic history of the Balkans. 3. Bosnia and Herzegovina, a cultural crossroads. Nestled between Croatia and Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina emerged during the medieval period as a unique cultural and political entity. Defined by its geographical position at the crossroads of East and West, this strategic location shaped Bosnia's history, fostering a diverse religious and cultural landscape that set it apart from its Balkan neighbors. During the Middle Ages, Roman Catholicism was the predominant faith in Bosnia, introduced through ties with the Western Church and the influence of neighboring Croatia. However, Bosnia's proximity to Orthodox Serbia also led to the adoption of Orthodox Christianity in some regions, creating a complex and multi-religious society. This dual influence reflected the region's status as a frontier between Latin and Byzantine Christendom, where the cultural currents of both worlds mingled. Bosnia's isolation from dominant powers, such as Hungary and Byzantium, allowed it to develop a distinctive identity. One of the most striking aspects of this identity was the rise of the Bosnian Church, an independent Christian sect that diverged from both Roman Catholic and Orthodox doctrines. The Bosnian Church beliefs and practices remain a topic of historical debate, but it is often associated with dualistic or heretical movements such as Bogomilism. This religious independence drew the ire of both Catholic and Orthodox authorities, who sought to assert control over Bosnia's spiritual landscape. Despite external pressures, the Bosnian Church thrived during the Middle Ages, contributing to the region's unique cultural fabric. Its autonomy and resistance to external religious domination mirrored Bosnia's broader political stance as local leaders sought to navigate the competing influences of Hungary, Serbia, and the Byzantine Empire. This balancing act allowed Bosnia to maintain a degree of independence during a period of significant regional upheaval. By the 14th and 15th centuries, however, Bosnia faced a new and existential challenge: the expansion of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans, emerging as the dominant power in the Balkans, gradually extended their control over Bosnia. In 1463, Bosnia fell to the Ottomans, marking the end of its medieval independence. With the Ottoman conquest came the introduction of Islam, which would profoundly reshape Bosnia's religious and cultural identity. Under Ottoman rule, Bosnia became a province of the empire, and Islam gained a significant foothold, particularly among the local elite and peasantry. The Ottoman policy of relative religious tolerance allowed Bosnia's Catholic, Orthodox, and Bosnian Church traditions to coexist with Islam, albeit under Ottoman dominance. Over time, the Bosnian Church declined, and its followers either converted to Islam or integrated into the Catholic and Orthodox communities. Bosnia's transformation under Ottoman rule further enriched its cultural diversity, making it a unique melting pot of religious and ethnic identities. The coexistence of Catholicism, Orthodoxy, and Islam within the region created a distinctive societal dynamic that persists to this day. Medieval history of Bosnia and Herzegovina, defined by its role as a cultural crossroads. offers a compelling narrative of resilience and adaptation. Its ability to navigate the competing influences of neighboring powers and foster a unique identity speaks to the complexity of Balkan history. Even as the Ottoman conquest introduced new challenges, Bosnia's legacy as a bridge between East and West continued to shape its cultural and historical significance. 4. The Bulgarian empires from steppe nomads to Balkan powerhouses. The history of the Bulgarian people is a testament to transformation and resilience. From their origins as Turkic nomads migrating from the steppes into the Balkans, Bulgarians established two powerful empires that would leave an indelible mark on the region's cultural, political, and religious identity. The journey from nomadic warriors to one of Byzantium's greatest rivals is a compelling tale of adaptation and ambition. Bulgarians first appeared in the Balkans during the 7th century. In 681, under the leadership of Khan Asparo, they founded the first Bulgarian empire south of the Danube River. This moment marked their formal recognition by the Byzantine Empire, and the beginning of Bulgaria's rise as a significant political entity. Blending their Turkic heritage with the Slavic cultures of the region, the Bulgarians forged a unique identity. This cultural synthesis laid the foundation for a strong and unified state. During the reign of Khan Krum in the early 9th century, the First Bulgarian Empire solidified its position as a formidable regional power. Krum's military campaigns were highly successful, including a decisive victory against the Byzantines. At the Battle of Pliska in 811, where Emperor Nikephoros I was killed, these victories secured Bulgaria's borders and demonstrated its growing influence. The cultural and political zenith of the First Bulgarian Empire came under Tsar Simeon I, who ruled from 893 to 927. Often referred to as Simeon the Great, he expanded Bulgaria's territory to its greatest extent, controlling lands from the Black Sea to the Adriatic and from the Danube to central Greece. Simeon's ambition to claim the Byzantine throne led him to adopt the title Emperor of the Bulgarians and Romans, further intensifying the rivalry between the two powers. Simeon's reign also marked a golden age of Bulgarian culture. The establishment of the Slavic liturgy, supported by the Byzantine Church, allowed Christian worship in the vernacular language, fostering a sense of national identity. Centers of learning in cities like Preslav and Ohrid produced religious texts, literature, and art, making Bulgaria a cultural beacon for the Slavic world. Despite its achievements, the First Bulgarian Empire faced mounting challenges. Invasions from Kievan Rus, internal strife, and relentless pressure from the Byzantine Empire weakened the state. The final blow came in 1018, when the Byzantine Emperor Basil II, known as the Bulgar Slayer, conquered Bulgaria after decades of warfare. With this, the First Bulgarian Empire was absorbed into Byzantium. Bulgaria's subjugation lasted for over a century, but the spirit of independence endured. In 1185, brothers Asen and Peter led a rebellion against Byzantine rule, establishing the Second Bulgarian Empire with its capital at Tarnovo. This period marked a resurgence of Bulgarian power and cultural influence. The Second Bulgarian Empire reached its height under Tsar Ivan Asen II in the early 13th century. Ivan Asen restored much of Bulgaria's territorial reach and presided over a flourishing cultural renaissance. Tarnovo became known as the Third Rome, a hub of Orthodox Christianity and Slavic culture that attracted scholars, artists, and theologians. However, the Second Bulgarian Empire struggled to maintain its dominance. Internal divisions and external pressures weakened the state, leaving it vulnerable to the rising Ottoman Empire. By 1396, Bulgaria was fully incorporated into the Ottoman realm, marking the end of its independence. Bulgarian empires played a pivotal role in shaping the Balkans. Through their promotion of the Slavic liturgy, they laid the foundations for a shared Slavic cultural heritage. Their resilience against formidable challenges and their contributions to Orthodox Christianity and Slavic identity remain a vital part of the region's history. Even under Ottoman rule, the legacy of the Bulgarian empires endured, continuing to influence the cultural and historical trajectory of southeastern Europe. 5. The Romanian Principality's autonomy on the edge of empires. In the shadow of larger empires and amidst the shifting power dynamics of Eastern Europe, Romanians emerged as key players in the strategically vital Danube region. During the 14th century, two principalities, Wallachia and Moldavia, were established, asserting Romanian autonomy and shaping a distinctive identity, rooted in their Orthodox Christian faith and Latin linguistic heritage. These principalities occupied a critical geographic position at the crossroads of the Ottoman Empire, Kingdom of Hungary, and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. This location placed them on the frontier of competing influences and subjected them to constant external pressures. Yet, it also provided opportunities for trade and diplomacy, as the principalities controlled important trade routes along the Danube River and the Black Sea. These routes were vital arteries of commerce, linking the Balkans with Central Europe and the wider Mediterranean world. The political systems of Wallachia and Moldavia were built around a feudal structure, with a voivode prince serving as the head of state. These rulers often navigated precarious relationships with their more powerful neighbors, striking a delicate balance between resistance and accommodation. One of the most notable figures was Vlad III of Wallachia, famously known as Vlad the Impaler. While his brutal methods earned him a fearsome reputation, his leadership also symbolized Wallachia's determination to resist Ottoman domination. Despite periods of resistance, both Wallachia and Moldavia eventually became vassal states of the Ottoman Empire, agreeing to pay tribute in exchange for a degree of autonomy. This arrangement allowed the principalities to maintain their own internal governance, including the administration of justice and the practice of Orthodox Christianity. This autonomy was significant, as it preserved Romanian cultural and religious traditions even under Ottoman suzerainty. The Romanian Principality's frontier position fostered a unique blend of influences. While their Orthodox Christian traditions linked them to the Byzantine cultural sphere, their Latin linguistic roots set them apart from their Slavic and Hungarian neighbors. This dual heritage was a legacy of the Roman province of Dacia, whose Latin-speaking inhabitants laid the foundation for the Romanian language. Over time, this cultural synthesis became a defining feature of Romanian identity. Economically, the principalities benefited from their control of trade routes, particularly those connecting Central Europe to the Black Sea. This economic activity brought wealth to the region, but also made it a target for external powers seeking to dominate these strategic corridors. By the 16th century, the increasing strength of the Ottoman Empire and the decline of neighboring powers solidified Ottoman control over Wallachia and Moldavia. However, the principalities' status as vassal states allowed them to avoid full incorporation into the empire. This delicate balance enabled them to retain a degree of independence, fostering a cultural resilience that would endure through centuries of foreign domination. The Romanian principalities of Wallachia and Moldavia represent a fascinating chapter in the history of southeastern Europe. Their ability to maintain autonomy on the edge of empires, preserve their cultural identity, and navigate complex geopolitical pressures is a testament to the resilience of the Romanian people. This legacy would continue to shape the region, laying the groundwork for the eventual unification of Romania in the 19th century. Summary: the South Slavic world and its neighbors represent a tapestry of cultural, political, and religious diversity. From the rise and fall of empires in Serbia and Bulgaria to the enduring resilience of Croatia, Bosnia, and Romania, this region's history is a testament to the dynamic interplay of external pressures and internal innovation. The Ottoman conquest marked a turning point, yet the cultural legacies of these medieval states continue to shape the identity of the Balkans today. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the South Slavic world and its remarkable history. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. Let us know in the comments which part of Balkan history you found most fascinating. Until next time, keep exploring history's hidden stories, and we'll see you in the next video. Welcome to a fascinating journey through the history of the Eastern Slavic world. From the Norse adventurers who founded Kievan Rus to the rise of Moscow as a powerful center of orthodoxy and empire. This is a story of resilience, transformation, and legacy. Join us as we explore how the Eastern Slavs navigated centuries of political upheaval, cultural enrichment, and external pressures to lay the foundations of modern Russia. 1. The foundation of Rus-Norse adventurers and Slavic settlements. The Eastern Slavic world began to take shape in the 9th century, a transformative era marked by the convergence of Norse adventurers and Slavic communities along the river networks of Eastern Europe. These Norse traders and warriors, known as the Rus or Varangians, played a pivotal role in the formation of one of the most influential medieval states, Kievan Rus. The foundations of this state were laid in 862, when the city of Novgorod emerged as a key center of power under the leadership of Rurik, a legendary Norse chieftain. According to the primary chronicle, a foundational East Slavic historical text, Rurik was invited by local Slavic and Finnic tribes to bring order to the region. His rule established a legacy of Norse governance that would blend with local traditions to create a unique political structure. Rurik's successor, Oleg of Novgorod, expanded the influence of the fledgling state. In 882, Oleg extended his control southward, capturing the strategically important city of Kiev and establishing it as the capital of Kievan Rus. This move not only solidified the Rus dominance over a vast region, but also laid the groundwork for the unification of Eastern Slavic tribes under a centralized authority. The establishment of Kiev as the capital marked the birth of Kievan Rus, a state that would become a significant player in the medieval European landscape. Geography played a critical role in the development of Kievan Rus. The Dnieper River, along with other major waterways such as the Volkhov and the Western Dwina, served as vital trade routes connecting the Baltic Sea to the Byzantine Empire, a preeminent power of the Eastern Mediterranean. Through these river networks, Kievan Rus became a crucial link in the trade of goods, such as furs, honey, wax, and slaves. The flourishing of commerce brought prosperity and allowed the state to exert influence across a vast territory. Culturally, the Rus state emerged as a blend of Norse and Slavic elements. Norse settlers, with their organizational skills and martial traditions, introduced new systems of governance and military prowess. Meanwhile, the Slavs contributed their agricultural expertise, communal traditions, and linguistic foundation. This fusion created a distinctive identity for Kievan Rus, one that would shape its political, cultural, and religious development. The foundation of Kievan Rus represented more than the establishment of a medieval state. It was the beginning of a cultural and political transformation that would define the region for centuries. The legacy of this era can still be seen in the historical narratives of modern-day Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, whose origins trace back to this pivotal moment in Eastern European history. By uniting diverse peoples and harnessing the power of trade and geography, the Rus laid the groundwork for a civilization that would become a cornerstone of the medieval world. 2. The Christianization of Rus. Vladimir I and the rise of Orthodox. A pivotal moment in the history of Eastern Slavic civilization occurred in 988, when Prince Vladimir I of Kiev embraced Christianity and declared it the official religion of Kievan Rus. This transformative decision not only shaped the religious identity of the region, but also laid the foundation for its cultural and political integration into the Byzantine world. The road to Vladimir's conversion was influenced by both political ambition and spiritual considerations. As ruler of Kievan Rus, Vladimir sought to consolidate his power and strengthen ties with influential neighbors. His marriage to Anna, the sister of Byzantine Emperor Basil II, was a decisive step in forging a political and cultural alliance with the Byzantine Empire. This union symbolized the close ties between the two states and provided a framework for the introduction of Orthodox Christianity into Kievan Rus. The Christianization of Rus was not merely a religious act, it represented a broader cultural transformation. By adopting Orthodox Christianity, Vladimir aligned his realm with the Byzantine religious tradition, which emphasized elaborate liturgical practices and deep theological roots. The use of the Slavic liturgy, developed by Saints Cyril and Methodius, allowed the new faith to take hold among the Eastern Slavs. By integrating religious practices with local languages and traditions, this period witnessed the rapid growth of Christian institutions across Kievan Rus. Monasteries became centers of learning, spirituality, and manuscript production, playing a crucial role in the dissemination of Byzantine religious and cultural values. Cathedrals, such as the iconic St. Sophia Cathedral in Kiev, were constructed, showcasing the influence of Byzantine architecture and serving as symbols of the newfound faith. The adoption of Orthodox Christianity also brought a wealth of Byzantine art, literature, and religious texts to Kievan Rus. Iconography, a hallmark of Orthodox Christian worship, became an integral part of Eastern Slavic spiritual life, with icons adorning churches and homes alike. Byzantine literary works, translated into Slavonic, enriched the cultural landscape of the region and provided a foundation for the development of a distinctive Eastern Slavic literary tradition. Politically, Vladimir's decision to embrace Christianity strengthened the central authority of the Kievan Rus state. The church, closely allied with the ruling prince, became a unifying force that helped to consolidate the diverse and often fractious territories of Kievan Rus. The establishment of the Russian Orthodox Church as a cornerstone of society further reinforced the cultural and spiritual cohesion of the state. The Christianization of Rus under Vladimir I marked the beginning of a profound transformation that would resonate through the centuries. By linking Kievan Rus to the Byzantine world, this moment not only shaped the religious identity of the Eastern Slavs, but also integrated them into the cultural and political dynamics of medieval Christendom. The enduring legacy of this era is evident in the continued prominence of Orthodox Christianity in the cultural and spiritual life of Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, tracing its roots back to the transformative reign of Vladimir III, the fragmentation of Kievan Rus, and the Mongol yoke. The early successes of Kievan Rus, marked by political unity and cultural growth, began to unravel by the 12th century. Centralized authority of the Grand Prince of Kiev, once a unifying force for the Eastern Slavic territories, weakened under the strain of internal rivalries and external pressures. This political fragmentation saw Kievan Rus splinter into a patchwork of independent principalities, each governed by its own prince. These principalities often competed with one another for power and influence, undermining the cohesion that had once defined Kievan Rus. This disunity left the region vulnerable to external threats, and none was more formidable than the Mongol invasion of the 13th century. Emerging from the Central Asian steppes, the Mongols, under Batu Khan, a grandson of Genghis Khan, launched a devastating campaign into Eastern Europe. By 1240, Kiev, the heart of Kievan Rus, fell to the Mongol onslaught, marking a catastrophic turning point in the region's history. The fall of Kiev heralded the establishment of the Golden Horde, a Mongol Khanate that extended its dominance over the fragmented principalities of Rus. This period, known as the Tatar Yoke, lasted for over 2 centuries and profoundly shaped the political, economic, and cultural landscape of the Eastern Slavic world. Under Mongol rule, the Rus principalities retained a degree of local autonomy, allowing their princes to govern internal affairs. However, this autonomy came at a steep cost. Mongols imposed a system of tribute, requiring the Rus princes to collect and deliver substantial payments to the Golden Horde. This system placed a heavy economic burden on the region, stifling development and deepening the fragmentation among the principalities. Mongols also wielded significant influence over the political dynamics of Rus. The Khans of the Golden Horde held the power to appoint or depose princes, further entrenching their dominance. This external interference often exacerbated conflicts among the Rus princes, who vied for Mongol favor to secure their positions.
Despite these challenges, the period of Mongol domination was not entirely devoid of cultural and social continuity.
Russian Orthodox Church played a crucial role in preserving Eastern Slavic identity during this time.
Mongols, practicing a policy of religious tolerance, allowed the Church to function without interference.
This enabled the Church to act as a unifying institution, offering spiritual and cultural stability amidst political turmoil. Mongol yoke also brought about certain exchanges between the steppe and the Rus. Mongols introduced administrative practices, military strategies, and trade networks that would later influence the governance and economy of the region. The fragmentation of Kievan Rus and the imposition of Mongol suzerainty marked a defining period in Eastern Slavic history. While it represented a time of hardship and division, it also set the stage for the eventual rise of new centers of power, most notably the Grand Duchy of Moscow. The resilience of the Eastern Slavs during this tumultuous era
ensured that their cultural and religious identity endured,
laying the groundwork for the resurgence of a unified Russian state in the centuries to come. 4. The rise of Moscow, a new center of power. In the shadow of Mongol domination, a new force quietly began to emerge in the fragmented landscape of the Rus, the Grand Duchy of Moscow-Muscovy. By the 14th century, Moscow had risen from a modest principality to a unifying power that would eventually reshape the trajectory of Eastern Slavic history. Its strategic geographic location, strong leadership, and close alliance with the Russian Orthodox Church were key factors in its ascendancy. Moscow's rise was initially driven by its ability to serve as a reliable vassal to the Golden Horde. Its princes, adept at balancing tribute payments with local governance, gained favor among the Mongols, allowing Moscow to consolidate influence over neighboring principalities. At the same time, its location at the crossroads of vital trade routes ensured economic growth and bolstered its political significance. A pivotal moment came when the Russian Orthodox Church relocated its seat to Moscow. This alignment made the city not only a political center, but also a spiritual capital for the Eastern Slavs. The Church's support provided Moscow with a unifying moral and cultural authority, reinforcing its position as the natural leader among the Rus principalities. In 1380, under the leadership of Dmitry Donskoy, Moscow achieved a symbolic victory against the Mongols at the Battle of Kulikovo. Although this victory did not immediately end Mongol rule, it demonstrated that the Golden Horde was no longer invincible. The battle became a rallying point for Russian unity and resistance, showcasing Moscow's role as the defender of the Eastern Slavs. The decline of the Golden Horde accelerated in the late 14th and early 15th centuries due to internal fragmentation and the devastating invasions of Tamerlane Timur. These factors weakened Mongol control over the Rus principalities, creating an opportunity for Moscow to assert greater independence. By the late 15th century, Moscow's rulers had begun to consolidate power more aggressively. Under Ivan Ivan the Great, Moscow emerged as the dominant principality in the region.
Ivan III expanded Moscow's territory through diplomacy,
Marriage alliances, and military conquest, uniting many of the fragmented Rus lands under his rule. In 1480, Ivan III achieved a decisive break from Mongol domination. Refusing to pay tribute, he faced down the remnants of the Golden Horde in a standoff along the Ugra River, effectively ending the Tatar yoke over the Russian lands. This event marked the beginning of Moscow's full sovereignty and its transformation into a powerful and centralized state. Ivan I's ambitions extended beyond the consolidation of Russian lands. Following the fall of Byzantium to the Ottomans in 1453, he declared Moscow the spiritual and political successor to the Byzantine Empire. Through his marriage to Sofia Paleologina, a niece of the last Byzantine emperor, Ivan III claimed the mantle of Orthodox leadership and imperial authority. Adopting the title of Tsar, he positioned Moscow as the Third Rome, asserting its role as the protector of the Orthodox Christian faith and the heir to Byzantine traditions. The rise of Moscow under Ivan III represented a turning point in Eastern Slavic history. It marked the emergence of a unified Russian state, capable of asserting its independence and shaping its destiny. The foundations laid during this period not only ended centuries of Mongol dominance, but also established Moscow as a powerful center of orthodoxy, culture, and imperial ambition. This transformation set the stage for Russia's expansion and its rise as a major power in the centuries to come. 5. Ivan IV and the emergence of Russia as a great power. The foundation for Russia's rise as a great power, laid during the reign of Ivan III, was carried forward with remarkable ambition and intensity by his grandson, Ivan IV, famously known as Ivan the Terrible. Ascending the throne in 1547 as the first ruler officially crowned as Tsar of all Russia, Ivan IV transformed the Grand Duchy of Moscow into a centralized and expansive Russian state, setting the stage for its emergence as a dominant force in Eastern Europe and beyond. Ivan IV's reign was defined by significant territorial expansion, beginning with his military campaigns against the Kazan Khanate and the Astrakhan Khanate, remnants of the Mongol Golden Horde. By 1552, Ivan's forces had captured Kazan, followed by the conquest of Astrakhan in 1556, securing control over the Volga River. This victory not only ended centuries of Mongol influence in the region, but also opened critical trade routes and incorporated the fertile Volga basin into the Russian state. These conquests symbolized more than territorial gains, they represented a shift in Russian identity and ambition. The capture of Kazan was celebrated as a triumph of orthodoxy over Islam, with Ivan positioning himself as a champion of the Russian Orthodox Church and the unifier of Christian lands. Construction of the iconic St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow commemorated this victory, its vivid architecture, embodying the newfound confidence and grandeur of the Russian state. Ivan IV's ambitions extended westward, where he sought to assert Russian influence in the Baltic region. This led to the Livonian War, 581–583, a prolonged and costly conflict against a coalition of powers including Poland-Lithuania, Sweden, and the Teutonic Order. While initially successful, the war ultimately ended in failure,
highlighting the limitations of Russia's military capabilities at the time,
and leaving the Tsar frustrated in his efforts to gain access to the Baltic Sea. Domestically, Ivan IV implemented significant reforms aimed at consolidating power and centralizing governance. He introduced a legal code known as the Sudmik of 1550, reorganized the military with the creation of the Streltsy Standing Army, and established the Zemsky Sobor, an early form of parliamentary assembly. These measures strengthened the Tsar's authority and provided a foundation for a more centralized state. However, Ivan's reign is also infamous for its periods of extreme violence and internal terror. Following the death of his beloved wife, Anastasia Romanovna, in 1560, Ivan became increasingly paranoid and autocratic. He established the Oprichnina, a state within a state, where his personal guard operated with brutal efficiency to eliminate perceived enemies. This period of repression saw the execution of thousands, including nobles, clergy and commoners, and the devastation of entire regions, such as the infamous sacking of Novgorod in 1570. Despite these dark episodes, Ivan Ev's reign fundamentally altered the trajectory of Russian history. By the time of his death in 1584, Russia had transformed from a fragmented collection of principalities into a centralized state, with clear territorial ambitions. His military campaigns expanded the boundaries of the Muscovite state, while his administrative reforms laid the groundwork for a more cohesive and powerful Russian polity. Ivan Ev's legacy is deeply complex. To some, he was a visionary leader who unified and strengthened Russia during a time of transition. To others, he was a tyrant whose reign of terror left scars on the nation. What is undeniable, however, is that Ivan the Terrible ushered in a new era for Russia, establishing it as a major power and setting the stage for its future as an empire that would dominate Eastern Europe and Eurasia for centuries. His reign remains a defining chapter in the history of the Russian state and its rise on the global stage. Summary: the Eastern Slavic world's journey from Kievan Rus to the rise of Moscow is a story of adaptation, resilience, and cultural enrichment. The region overcame fragmentation, Mongol domination, and internal strife to emerge as a powerful and unified state under the leadership of Moscow. By the 16th century, Russia had laid the foundations for its role as a major player on the global stage, carrying forward the legacy of the Eastern Slavs and their rich cultural heritage. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Eastern Slavic world. If you enjoyed this dive into history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories from the past. Let us know in the comments what part of this fascinating history intrigued you the most. Until next time, keep exploring the world's rich history, and we'll see you in the next video.